I'm curious, where do you think it's come from that we have books that want to define, the friendly giant,
Right.
or the dragon who is not really bad, and we're taking types and defining them more loosely, changing their traditional characteristics. Clearly, you think this is a dangerous bent in story, but why do you think that's happening?
Yeah, well, I don't want to sound like a complete party pooper and just kibosh any story with...
Poop away, it's okay.
I don't want to kibosh just any story that has a good giant in it or a good dragon. But it is a dangerous trend in that, in the emphases that it reveals. Instead of telling our children, if you do something bad, you can change, or more importantly, the bad things out there aren't bad, they're misunderstood.
Okay.
That's a problem.
Okay.
There are bad things out there. Now, there needs to be wisdom in how we perceive that and how we approach them, right? So a story about taming a dragon or taming a giant, there are stories like that that are very ancient. I think those can be very healthy, but there needs to be something, and it should be better when it's not human.
Right.
There needs to be something that represents what human beings can be and what they could do to you.
And the processes that they have to go through if they are dragon, the process that they go through to become tame. Because it's not, I'm a good dragon now.
Right, exactly.
Or I was a good dragon all along.
And usually what happens...
What we're missing in the stories that you're speaking about is the transition or the series of events that led to...
Exactly right. And I mean, usually what happens is that the frog becomes a prince. A story where, and I've read this sort of thing, the princess kisses the frog and becomes a frog herself, and they go off and live happily ever after. What does that really say?
Yeah.
It doesn't say much at all, except that it's a cute little story about a couple people getting together, a couple of frogs getting together. Yeah. If the frog becomes a prince, that talks about how you, Andy, are a frog, and you can be great. Here she comes, and she's going to make you great. You can, buddy.
All I need is someone to kiss me.
Exactly. We'll have to talk to Beth. Yeah. But that's the idea, right? Yes. Is that Beth makes you great.
Right.
Right? You could have been a frog,
right,
but you're not, because she's awesome.
Indeed.
Right? And that's a core part of how these symbols are used.
Well, I'm convinced right now that if there's anybody still left listening to this podcast, first of all, those who aren't listening, it's not because they're not enjoying this conversation. It's because they ran out of their houses or their cars to go buy this book right now. Those people who are still listening are only listening because they're waiting for us to repeat the author and the book again because they want to go buy this.
Man, yeah.
So it's Gene Wolfe's. What do they need to look for? Because I know that the books don't say on the cover the Wizard Knight, do they?
Well, they kind of do on the bottom.
Okay.
There are two volumes. They'll be put out together eventually. But The Wizard and The Knight. And it's Gene Wolfe, Wolfe with an E.